This video is going to cover the installation of a Bosch VE pump on a older Cummins 5.9 turbo diesel. This injection pump can be found in many different applications, from a Dodge pickup to a school bus or many industrial engines as well. It's a useful procedure to know, so we're going to cover that for you today. The first step is to bar the engine over with a special barring tool. It slides down into the flywheel and can turn the engine over direction of rotation, which is important. And you turn it over until the cam locking pin slides into place, like that. Then you know you're at top dead center on number 1 cylinder. Next, you want to make sure that all the gasket material has been removed from the pump mounting flange and also off the engine surface, as you can see here. And you also want to clean the taper of the gear and of the injection pump shaft to make sure that there's no oil on it. So a little bit of brake clean and a clean towel should clean that all off. Next, install a new pump mounting gasket. Next, we're going to install the injection pump. Be careful of the key. It does face down and can fall out if you bump it on installation. I don't know why they designed it this way, but just make sure it's in there solid and it doesn't rock back and forth. And watch while you're inserting it and make sure everything aligns properly. With the injection pump installed, we're going to put on the 3 mounting nuts next. It's just finger tight at this time. Now with the 3 mounting nuts holding the injection pump loosely in place, you want to put on the injection pump drive nut and washer. Be careful of the washer, it can fall into the engine. And just spin that on by hand. So now we'll do the initial torque. That's just 15 foot-pounds. Next is to tighten the injection pump mounting nuts. And you want to watch, because the pump does move slightly. You want to push the top of the pump up towards the head as you tighten these nuts down. And then they'll have a final torque of 18 foot-pounds. With the mounting nuts torqued, we're now going to unlock the injection pump. And install the spacer. Next, torque it to 10 foot-pounds. Then we'll install the rear support. First by tightening all the screws by hand, and then torquing the 2 into the block, and then the 1 rear main support to the injection pump. The torque for the rear bracket is 18 foot-pounds. Next, you can do the final torque on the injection pump drive nut to 48 foot-pounds. It helps to have the barring tool in place. It will hold the engine out from turning over, but once that's torqued, it's a good idea to pull this out, because you definitely don't want to forget about that and leave it in the engine. With the barring tool out, install the oil filler back into the engine. Install the injection pump high pressure lines, torque to 18 foot-pounds. Then you can install the supply line and the return fitting into the injection pump. Important note about this fitting Always use the one supplied if you're replacing the injection pump, because if your pump failure caused any type of debris to scatter in the injection pump, there's a fine screen in here that can plug up. So if you reuse your fitting, you risk a chance of causing further damage or drivability issues. So always replace if you've had a pump failure. Use the one installed. From there, we'll hook up the electrical connections, and then the throttle bracket. Mind you, every application is different. Finally, you can install the air line going to the aneroid and intake manifold, the throttle springs, and any other parts that you have loose. One thing to note, make sure you put back the injection line support brackets, the blue plastic supports. If you leave those off, you can end up breaking injection lines. And now that you have everything connected, it's not a bad idea to turn the engine over by hand. Make sure you have no binding anywhere. And then you can go to the lift pump on the side of the block, and there's a small lever here, and just pump up and prime the injection pump. It will push through the pump. If you initially push on this lever and you don't feel like it's doing anything, you might be on the cam lobe. So you may have to just turn the engine over by hand a bit until you feel it pump. And then I'm not sure if you're picking up, there's a real high-pitched noise as it's going through the return fitting. And we're pretty much ready to start it up. If it doesn't want to start, you may have to bleed the fuel lines at the injectors. A lot of times, if all you did was remove the injection pump, there will still be fuel in these lines, and it may fire right up. If not, loosen the lines here, crank it over until you start seeing fuel, tighten them up, and you should be ready to go. Again, it's pretty straightforward installation, and this video will apply to most applications of Cummins 5.9 with the VE pump, but we always recommend to follow the manufacturer's instructions, and this video is just a guide and not meant to replace those. Thanks for watching.